Corned beef, we made it in our previous video. Freshly made corned beef. Now we're gonna cook it, okay? We're gonna cook it and add so much flavor in the cooking process as well as the vegetables, because we're gonna have carrots, cabbage, potatoes. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be just so good. If you like corned beef and cabbage or corned beef and potatoes, you're gonna wanna see all the recipe, because I'm going to show you some tips, and I've got a special tip I'm going to show you at the very end. You're going to want to stick around because you don't want to miss it. Hey, subscribe. We want to share more recipes with you. Hit the like button. Tell us what you think. Comment, let's share some ideas. Love to have that. I'm going to put the recipe in the directions in the bottom, and I'm Chef Don McMillan, and we are going to cook some corned beef and cabbage today. Okay, so I have in here that corned beef, and I put it into a pot. You want it into a pot, obviously one that'll fit in, and also one that you can cover with the water, okay? And this is just water right here. And we just want to put enough water in there to cover it. Leave a little bit of room on the top, of course. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen in just about a minute or two. When the water starts to boil, you're going to see a lot of foam on top of there. I like to take the foam off before I put in the seasonings, okay? So we'll just give it about a minute, and okay, look in the pot now. This is the foam I told you. About 2 minutes it took when this water started to boil. And here's what I like to do before I even put any of the seasonings in, because when you put the seasonings in, it'll come to the top and be part of the foam, and you wind up taking half of it out of the pot. So let's just get rid of this. We don't want that in there. It's going to make our stock cloudy. And listen, by the way, the stock that is making now with this corned beef is what we're going to use to cook our vegetables. So hey, we don't want all this in there right now. Let's just go ahead and move it right out, because we want all of this goodness to flavor the meat as well as to flavor our vegetables. Got a couple more here. Get them out. Yep. Now I've turned the meat down to a simmer, okay? So because of that, I'm now going to add in, look at these herbs. These are hot red pepper flakes. Put those in. I got about a teaspoon. You don't need much. Peppercorns, black peppercorns. 10 or 12 is all you need. If you put more than that, it's going to clear out the house. Trust me. I've done that before. It doesn't need to happen too much. Bay leaves. Put a couple of bay leaves right in there. Mustard seeds, put some of those right in there, and fresh garlic. I'm going to give it a little bit of a smash because I want to take this garlic and put more flavor in there. So I just push down like that on the cutting board with my knife, or anything with a flat surface could do it, and pop all those right into the pot. Okay, now it's going to cook slow. It's a slow cooking process. Depending on the size of your meat, I would say it would take anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. And the way we're going to test the meat, we're going to take a fork and just push it in there. So as you can see, it's not going anywhere right now. When this meat is done, you'll be able to penetrate it just so easily. I'll flip the meat over and do the other side as well. But now we've got to wait for about an hour and a half. Well, now our beautiful corned beef is done, and the reason I know it's done, I stuck a thermometer in there for one thing, and I got 165-degree reading. Another thing is I put my fork in there, and when I can easily go in like that, I know that it's done. So look at that. I'm just going to take it out, just drain this a little bit, and I'm going to put it on my platter right here, fat side down, fat side up. Okay. Gonna leave that just for a minute or two. It's doing fine. Meanwhile, here's that wonderful stock that it's been cooking in, right? All those vegetables are in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some vegetables and cook them in that stock. So now I'm going to put some vegetables right into the same pot and cook them in all those juices. capture every bit of flavor. And with the potatoes, I want them pretty large size, so I'm not going to cut them too small, but let me just cut these in half and in half again. And if there's any little pieces you don't like the way it looks, cut those out and push them off to the side. Sometimes these eyes have a different color, and that's okay. So let me go ahead and cut these potatoes. So I'm actually cutting them, they're big, so I'm cutting them in eighths. In half and half and half. I've got my stock coming up to a boil. So once that comes to a boil, I'm going to reduce it to a simmer. But I'm putting these vegetables in here so they can start cooking right now. There's a little piece I don't like. Goodbye. Now, carrots. Wonderful vegetable, perfect for cooking with corned beef. I'm going to take my peeler and look at this. I'm going back and forth. I'm peeling this carrot in half the time because my peeler, and mostly yours as well, have two blades for people who are right-handed and people who are left-handed. So we get to use them both. So let me go ahead and peel those off. And I cut off the top and the bottom. I no longer need that as well. Now I'm going to cut them into large pieces. You saw how I cut potatoes into large slices, so I'm just going to cut them into fairly large slices. But check this out. I'm going to turn it around like this and cut it at two different angles. Can you see that? They call this the peasant cut. Place those into our pot, and we'll cut the rest of these carrots as well in the same manner. These are going to be so good. You're going to love them. Great vegetables, great color. It's going to be a wonderful meal. Okay. Now, as that's coming to a boil, I'm also going to cook the cabbage. The cabbage doesn't take quite as long to cook as the potatoes and the carrots. I'm going to let the carrots and potatoes cook for maybe about 10 or 15 minutes. I'll just check them, check them with a fork, okay? But I did want to cut the cabbage and show you how. Now this is a huge cabbage, a lot more than I need, so I'm only going to use half of it in today's recipe. You may want to get a smaller cabbage, or you know, you can cook cabbage for another day, but I'm just going to go ahead and divide it in half, like that. Place that over here, and do you see this part right in through here? Okay, that's pretty hard. I'm going to cut that out just by putting the point of my knife and at an angle, cut down. And the opposite over here, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to cut it in this manner down as well. And then that comes right out. Okay, sometimes there's a little bit more of the root in there. You could cut it out if you want. I don't really think it matters that much. And that gets thrown away. And now I'm going to cut the cabbage. Now you can shred it if you wish, so it will cook up quicker. You can leave it in a little bit bigger pieces. I prefer when I'm doing corned beef and cabbage to actually see the cabbage, but if I was going to do maybe a fried cabbage or sauteed cabbage or maybe even coleslaw, I would cut it in a different manner. Cabbage is a friendly vegetable. I really like it. It really lends itself to a lot of different cuisines. It's a filling vegetable. It doesn't cost a whole lot, and it creates a lot of value in your meal. So in this case, I'm just going to cut them in larger chunks like this. You can see that. And this way I can pick them up with a fork, and they will cook up really nice. And as I said, I'm going to put the cabbage in there in just a little while. I want the rest of the vegetables to cook up. Cabbage takes about 15 minutes to cook. Okay, our cabbage is ready. So now we're just going to wait just a few minutes to do that. Okay, I just checked. I with my fork, and I can just barely pierce the potato and the carrots, which means they're just about done. I'm going to go ahead and put the cabbage in there and let it cook in all of that goodness. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so good. Yes, put it in there. Get it there. Get happy. All right, a little bit more. Cabbage, carrots, corned beef, potatoes. This is a stew, really, to end all stews. It takes about 15 minutes for the cabbage to be done. Meanwhile, when that's happening, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Look, here's that beef that I took out of the pot. It's already been cooked. I can slice it and eat it right now. I'm going to hook it up. I told you I was going to share some good tips with you. All right. I used to work at Horn Hardett's in Philadelphia, and they were famous for their corned beef. And the reason their beef was like just that much more tastier, I'm going to show you. What they did is they took the fat and they scored it. Look, score. Okay, I'm taking my knife and I'm just going through. I'm not going through the meat, just the fat, right? And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna score it this way. Now this is the corned beef that we made. It's not going to be like the commercial one. As you can tell by our previous video, we just cured it with salt and vinegar and some great spices. But look at this. I have here some brown sugar. I'm going to take the brown sugar and I'm going to push it right into that score. What's going to happen is I'm going to put this corned beef into my broiler and I'm going to broil the top of it. And what will happen is that this sugar will melt and it will caramelize and it will glaze and it will have a nice crust, like you can hear crack on it, okay? You got this little sweetness going on with it. Oh my goodness. Pack it in there, get it in there good, okay? Get it in there, all those little scores that you put into, make it happen. Put it on there, okay? And we're gonna put under the broiler, and while the cabbage is cooking, our corned beef is gonna be cooking some more. All right, now is the time. I told you what we were going to do. We've got it nice with the brown sugar. We're gonna let it glaze. I've got the broiler, it's hot. Put it in the oven. Let it broil. Don't leave it in there too long. All you want is that sugar to melt and form a glaze. Meanwhile, our vegetables are ready. Didn't take long at all. I'm gonna go ahead and remove them and place them into the bowl. They're flavored with that wonderful stock. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Nice and flavored. Let's go ahead. Take them out. Potatoes, carrots. Look at that. There's a bay leaf. I'll put that off to the side. If you see any of those peppercorns, you can push them aside. They're not going to hurt anything. We got lots of flavor. This broth is so flavored, I don't have to add any salt or any pepper. It is already hooked up, okay? And there's a little bit of fat floating around the top. That ain't going to hurt anything either, okay? Fat tastes good, and we want the full benefit of all this wonderful food. Okay, I'll save that for a minute, but what I want to do is to use our nice platter. We got a little platter here. We're going to take some vegetables and arrange them, and then we're just going to cut that beautiful beef and put it right over the top. So here we go. Here's our vegetables cooked together, happy, ready for the dinner table in just a minute. Look at the potatoes. They're done. The carrots are done, and the cabbage is perfectly cooked. Does that not look good? Yes. Okay. A family meal indeed. All right, let's go check our beef. I told you not to forget about it. It's looking good. Let me get a towel to take it out. Done. Here it is. Look, there it is. Look at that glaze. I gotta let it set for a little bit now. Don't jump in it right away, because that is hot. It's gonna cool, and as it cools, it's gonna make a nice little crust on the top. Man, this is some good food here, folks. Okay, look, I just want to hear, I hope you can hear this, but listen. You hear that? That's that crust that we put with the brown sugar. It is so, when they bite into this, they're gonna eat every morsel, every morsel. Okay, here, next tip I wanna show you. How do you slice your corned beef? Can I show you something? Look, do you see where there's one layer going this way and another going that way? What we want to do is we're going to separate the two, okay? You could cut right through if you want to, but because the meat is running in different directions, I always like to cut against the grain. Does that make sense to you? Cut against the grain? So we're just cutting where that fat line is, see it in there? Okay, good. Now, let's get this part here. So now I want to show you where the grain, so if we cut with the grain, then it will be stringy. If we cut against the grain, it will be just nice and smooth. So let's see what this looks like right here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful corned beef. Now, the reason it doesn't have that pink in there is because we didn't use the Prague salt. We didn't use all those nitrates. But trust me, every bite of this corned beef is good. And I'm leaving that fat on there because I know some people are definitely going to want their share. Beautiful corned beef. All right, one more slice. I like mustard. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I like that nice German style mustard, or some of the ones got a lot of good character. So I always like to put a little dollop on my plate right there. Just a little mustard. When you pick up your beef, it goes right with it. Hey, corned beef doesn't get any better than this. Look at this. We have so many wonderful recipes to share with you. How to make your own pastrami. That's going to be on our next video. So many good things. So definitely got to subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell us what you think. Put it in the comments. I'm going to give you the recipe below in the directions. And just remember, as always, you know, when Chef Don is cooking, it's simple and absolutely delicious.